Okay, let's start. Welcome, warm welcomes to all. We are now starting the edition of 2021 of Climate Social Forum. So I'm very excited to start this great moment and this virtual agora that is the second edition this year. So I will give a brief overview on what's Climate Social Forum by my screen. I think that you all can see my screen. So I kindly confirm if you can see my screen. Just in the chat, say yes or no. I think yes. So I will go ahead. So what is Climate Social Forum? First of all, I invite you all to join our website and see the different activities that we have done since last year. We are very, very newborns, we can say, but we are very, very active and we did a lot of activities. So check our website. There is available in Italian, English, and Spanish. And what is the Climate Social Forum? And what is the concept of Climate Social Forum? So the Climate Social Forum is a free universal assembly. And the goal is to create a virtual agora where activists, experts, climate advocates can propose action and stimulate also the policymakers to build an ecological and sustainable future. We inspired on what's happened on COP25 to Manifesto Climatico Latinoamericano. So basically, the idea of Climate Social Forum was born by a group of activists that doesn't want to stop to talk about climate change and social crisis, even in pandemic. So the way to talk in pandemic was to be virtual, so address virtual exchanges. And properly, in the same way, the colleagues of Manifesto Climatico Latinoamericano did the same when the COP was moved from Chile to Spain in COP25. And so they continue to dialogue, they continue to create participatory engagement on climate change, and not what we are going to do with the Climate Social Forum. So basically, we refer to same framework. Last year, we referred to the Climate Action Path, and we organized a full agenda of 7 days regarding the 12 Climate Action Path. Today, as we will see for this edition of Climate Social Forum, the framework is another one, but I don't want to reveal anything because our fantastic keynote speaker will address the framework of today. And how is built the Climate Social Forum? We rely on some basic principles that are made to create a safe space for discussion. So this principle can be summarized in 3 words: listen, generativity, and solution. Listen because it's important to listen one each other. Generativity because we want to be constructive and create new solution. And solution, of course, because we want to find solution. So the crisis is a very moment in which several things can change and so on, but this change need to be addressed, but we have to find solution to that. And our motto is only we are in the same boat, only if we remain together, we can prevent the storm from happening. And it is also the message of the Climate Social Forum of this year, that is rise up together for a just and green reprise. So the collaboration and strengthening of partnership is a key thing of Climate Social Forum. So you have to imagine the Climate Social Forum is made by a network of different organizations, so not just one. Climate Social Forum is a community, is a network. And so also we invite you also to join this network in this community. So another super pillar of Climate Social Forum is the Talanoa dialogue. That is a dialogue that put all together on the same level and on the same boat. And it's based on 3 questions. So where we are to assess the state of art, where do we want to go to assess the main goals and objective, and how do we get there? So the methods and strategy. So last year, we make a full week of events. I will share then in the chat the video of that resumes a little bit the adventure of last year. But how the Climate Social Forum work? It's a open agora, and we will like perform different conferences these days, but not only. We want to engage also you in giving feedback and giving inputs. In fact, the very basic of Climate Social Forum process is to share common documents for each track in which you, participants, are asked to respond to the Dalanoa questions. And so this is the case also of today. I will share with you in a chat a document that is the open document of the track today. And from the open documents, we want to give some outputs. Last year, we did the same process, and we come out with the four, we can say, four documents. The proceedings, so the collection of all intervention of all speakers, but also the output documents, one for each governance level, so local, national, global. So we are committed to bring these documents to the decision maker. We did the same on the pre-COP, giving the documents to the municipality of Milan. I want also to bring the documents to the COP25, the COP26, sorry. That is like in few days. So the mission also of this Climate Social Forum 2021 is to produce something that we want to bring also for COP26. So during the year, we did several collaborations with different associations. So the African Youth Leaders for Peace and Sustainability, the Political Pipeline, and others. Here you can see some of the events. We also participated to the open dialogue on climate change. So the invite is to join our community. You can see our Facebook page and our Facebook group that we call the community. But also today, and for this edition of Climate Social Forum, there is also another space in which we can interact and exchange expression on what we have seen during the tracks, what we have seen during the talks, and what we want to bring to the table. So I kindly ask you to join the Discord channel of Climate Social Forum. Here you can see the link and a QR code. I will share also that in the chat. And so the invitation is to like join and talk together in this open agora that is the Climate Social Forum. So you can be also engaged in Climate Social Forum in different roles as a volunteer. If your association wants to join the network, I will bring you also the link for that. And also, of course, follow us on our social media channels. We have like a super fantastic YouTube channel where we record all the intervention and we send all the video that we have produced during our activities. So check it out and please subscribe to the channels. But also we are on Instagram, as I said, on Facebook. We have an email that you can use to like ask us some infos and so on. So with that, I will close my introduction. Thanks for the attention, and I will give the floor to the keynote speaker of this fantastic opening day, that is Dr. Paola Fiore, that she is the founder and director of Eticambiente, an expert in teaching about the Sustainable Development Goals, that will showcase the framework of this edition of Climate Social Forum, that has the 6P of sustainability. So Paola, the floor is to you.
Domenico, thank you very much. And first of all, I really would like to give you my sincere acknowledgement for the fantastic, amazing work that your group have done so far, is still doing, and I'm sure will do in the next weeks and months towards the COP and also after the COP. Just to get started, I decided to let's say, call my speech the 6 Ps. Why? That's very simple, because as I'm sure everyone now knows, or at least we hope so, we are working within this very important framework, the framework of the UN 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda, composed by these 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And as I will show you briefly, usually we know this framework based on some key specific areas. But in my studies, I found that there is possibly one missing part that is very important today more than ever. So that's the reason why I decided to do my speech today about these additional, let's say, P that makes the 5P 6Ps overall. So I would like to start by bringing to your attention the vision of this important framework that often is somehow forgotten, or it has not, let's say, deeply considered or analyzed. So let's say that the idea started as a promise, you know, a promise brought to the world by the global leaders, a promise for bringing to the world an agenda that is based on 3 different principles that are very, very important. And we will see them after in my presentation. And first of all, this is an agenda for people to end poverty, because unfortunately, poverty, as it was, let's say, in the millennium previous goals, poverty has not ended. So this was the main objective. And obviously, the agenda is not only for the people, it's not only for taking care, you know, of the poor people, but also for the planet, that is considered for the first time as our common home. And I would like to remind you the date of this important framework. It has been released in January 2016, but in reality, it was completed the year before, in 2015, the same year when our Pope Francis brought to the world the encyclica Laudato Si, that is of June 2015, the same year of the Paris Agreement in December. And this is also an agenda for, you know, bringing 3 core components to the world to make our society really a better place. So it's about sharing prosperity, not only economical prosperity, obviously, but also social, environmental prosperity, and for sharing peace and partnership. And this framework conveys in, I would say, every goal, and particularly, obviously, the goal number 13, that is the one about specifically climate action, the urgency to act about the climate crisis. But it's also rooted, this agenda, in gender equality. It's very, very important, you know, to bring these up, and the respect for the rights of all the people. And I'm sure that if we could, let's say, somehow revise this vision, we would be able to have the respect for all living creatures. And finally, it has a very important pledge that is that of leaving no one behind, no people behind. And I would also like to add now, leave no territory behind. That is also very, very important. So this framework is fundamental today, now more than ever, especially towards the COP26 in a few weeks in Glasgow, because really the purpose for us all as activists, you know, professionals working in the field, or let's say simply citizens of our world, is really taking care of our planet. And in order to do this, we really need to start asking ourselves and the other people some key questions that you can just briefly read on the slides. But obviously there are many, many more other questions to ask. And for example, one question is about why it's important right now to taking care of our planet. And I would also have to taking care of ourselves as human beings. And for example, how can we combine, can we integrate the concept of social climate justice and also economic justice? because this concept is getting more and more important, I would say, fortunately, you know, in the political debate, but also in the social discussion. And another key question that we need to ask ourselves and the others more and more is how can we make positive change happen in our lives, in our profession, and especially fast, because we know that the climate crisis is here right now. So it's a very urgent to also change for the positive. And another question that I'm asking myself and other people more and more is what is right now, today, the meaning of sustainability? Or maybe what are the different meanings of sustainability? What are the possible declination that we might find together about sustainability? Because obviously the meaning of sustainability has changed incredibly in this last decade. So we also need to, you know, give new meaning or also refine the meaning to what is important for us in order to take care of our common home. And finally, as a question, very important question that I would like to share with you today is about finding the right balance, you know, the right balance between humans on a side and nature or all the living creatures on the other side. And this balance needs to, let's say, guarantee respect for the rights of all the people, all the community, all the most vulnerable groups, and all the ecosystem. And obviously, questions like this one are key to solve the climate crisis and I would say also the environmental emergency. So let's see now the framework. Obviously, I'm not going to show all the possible perspective, you know, that today we can use to look at this important framework. But I'm going to share with you the main perspective. And I really would like to invite you during the work of your assembly this year and towards the COP to find the possible new perspective, you know, to use this framework to create common goods. So the most, let's say, known perspective is the one that divides the framework into 5 different areas. And from these 5 different areas derives the 5 Ps that are obviously people, you know, taking care of the people, in particular, put an end to poverty, and let's say make dignity and equality, you know, arrive for everyone. Then there are the area about prosperity. Then there is the area about obviously taking care of the planet, the one about peace, and the one about partnership. That's the main perspective that we are used to, you know, apply also in our work, in our discourse. Then there is another that is already quite known, that is divided into 3 different parts. And as you can see from these slides, the bigger part is at the bottom of this image, and is about the goals referring to taking care of the planet, you know, of the ecosystems, of the lands, of water, of climate change, and so on. In the middle of this image, we can see all the goals, the 8 goals that refer to creating good within the society, for the society. And at the top of this image, we have the area, the goals about economy. What I would like to point out here is that usually in our, let's say, Western culture and obviously economy, we are being, let's say, taught to give exactly the opposite priority to this area. So usually we give the most importance to the economy, and usually we give the least importance to the environment, taking care of the planet. So this is a big change in terms of perspective. And then there is another, possibly for me, this is one of the most interesting at the moment perspective, to use the 17 Sustainable Development Goals in this framework. And this perspective is based on the human needs. As you can see from these slides here, there are, let's say, 3 main silos. And within each of these silos, you can see different types of needs that as human beings we can have related to the different sustainable development goals. And obviously, we all have basic needs, you know, about food, so nutrition, healthcare, safety, personal safety, sanitation, and so on. Then we have some other, I would say, at an immediate higher level needs that are referring to the well-being. And obviously, in here, we can include education, you know, at least the basic level of knowledge and education, but also having access to information and communication, our health and wellness. So, for example, having access to medical cure and so on. But I would like to invite you to reflect on another needs that is within these silos related to the well-being, and it's about environmental quality. And especially today is getting more and more important, relating human well-being to, let's say, having or perceiving some kind of environmental quality in our life. And this connection would, let's say, open another broader conversation, but today, unfortunately, we don't have the time, about the importance of the concept of One Health, that obviously, very briefly, I'm sure you or most of you already knows, is about the health of humans beings, the health of the planet, are, let's say, the 2 faces of the same coin. And finally, there are some other types of needs that we can see as an opportunity. I would highlight the fact that all of these different needs can be at the same time challenges or opportunities. But in particular, if we see as some kind of human needs, this one on the right side of the slides are really opportunity. And here there's a lot of space for improvement, especially if we really are able to use these specific sustainable development goals together. So we arrived at the 6 Ps, as I was saying before. Do you remember when I read with you the vision of the Sustainable Development Goals framework? It started with a promise, you know, but I'm asking myself, and I also ask you, what is a promise without its purpose? So it makes it clear that, you know, there's something that is missing that possibly is even more important than all the other 5 areas. And that is about the purpose. The purpose that obviously starts from within each of us. So it's an individual purpose, you know. Why is this important for us right now? Why it's important to act to take care of the planet, you know, to help solve the climate crisis and so on. But obviously this purpose is also collective. It needs to be also collective. And this reminds to the necessity to start changing our mindset, our way of thinking, behaving, doing, and being from the I perspective to the we perspective, so that we can start to work really together, you know, start really co-creating together, co-thinking together, and really make happen the agenda of United Nations by 2030. That's really, really important, in my opinion. And I hope that in your work, in your assembly, you can, you know, go deep into this exploration, and I'm sure you will create some amazing content for sure. And here, just very, very briefly, why it's important today more than ever to bring these 6 P into our discussion, into our collaboration, into our work, because obviously we have changed the environment, we have changed the planet. We are living in a new geological era, the one that geologists are now calling the Anthropocene. And now it's the opposite, is humans that has changed the environment, you know. So we need to stop this, or at least reduce this negative impact, and trying to, let's say, change direction. Why? Because we have already achieved some of the so-called tipping points, you know, and these tipping points creates, you know, for human beings more and more risk. But at the same time, bypassing these, let's say, tipping points also creates risk for planet Earth. And these tipping points, you know, are considered, or at least have been considered so far by the scientists, as a sort of a safe space where humans, you know, can live, let's say, or can operate, I would say, in tranquility. But the more we are pushing, you know, these boundaries to the limits, the more is difficult, you know, for humans to live in a safe space. And unfortunately, we are learning from the pandemic, you know, that this is happening already. It's not something that will happen in decades. It has already started to happen in different areas. So what do we need right now? We need to, and here again, the 6P is more and more important, the purpose. We need to operate, you know, in another way. We really need to operate in a way that is related or creates a sort of planetary stewardship. So that's why I was saying before, it's fundamental to change our mindset. It's not only, you know, possible to continue to live in a, let's say, human-based space. Is not. It shouldn't have been in this way either in the past, but unfortunately, you know, our civilization brought us to behave in this way. But now we are at a point where we can change direction. We really can make this happen. And what is the objective? The objective is that of as I said, operate as human beings in a space that is not only for humans, but is also for all the other living creatures. We need to stop being the prosecutors. We need to become the protector of our planet. And here we could discuss, I'm sure, for hours about doing this. And going back to the three core principles of the framework of Sustainable Development Agenda, I would like to focus on these before closing. Universality is the first one. First of all, this framework is really for everyone on Earth, for every citizen, every people, every sector, city, business, school, institution, organization. Everyone is challenged to act. Everyone has the power to act and do something. So create a positive impact. The second principle is integration, and this is key. I would say that the integration principle is fundamental today more than ever, because it reminds us the idea that not only all the 17 Sustainable Development Goals are interconnected, and the agenda of 2030 cannot be achieved if only one goals or few goals are achieved. All the 17 Sustainable Development Goals needs to be achieved all together, because we are in a system. The framework is already a system, and that's very important. And this also reminds us the idea that the interconnectedness is not only among the goals, but is also among us, human beings. So as the goals are integrated, we as human beings are integrated and need to collaborate, need to co-create, need to act together. And the final principle is transformation. And again, maybe this principle is connected to the 6P, the one of purpose, because obviously it's commonly recognized that let's say, to achieve these goals, the world needs a big change. Not only at global level, but obviously at local level, individual level at first. So we do need to transform ourselves from within and support the other people to do the same in our communities. So from this slide, you can see that all the different goals are interconnected, just like humanity is interconnected to also the ecosystems, also to the other forms of life on Earth. So what do we need to do now? And I'm closing and I'm giving, let's say, the rest of the work to you. We do need to create a new normal that is really connected to rise up, but not only, is connected to, let's say, create a common good that is based on the respect, on the balance between the rights of humans, the rights of nature. You know, we really do need to change our view, our mindset. We do need to see opportunities where there might be the challenges for us. And we also do need to inspire, get inspiration from the other, but also inspires other people do the same. And with this slide, I would like to close. And thank you very much. I don't know if is there any question or whatever. I'm here to support you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Paola, for your amazing and inspiring speech. I don't know if there are some questions. We have a few time for brief questions. Then we run to the first track, to the Eric. I saw a question from Eric.
Dottora Paola, grazie mille per la presentazione. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. Just one question, because I founded a couple of years ago the Mesoamerican Knowledge Lab in order to rescue and support empirical knowledge in the hands of peasants and indigenous people. And actually, we just made a report on how indigenous people use bioindicators to read the climate in order to adjust better to the climate change problems. But based on what I've heard from you, for me, the most important part is that we must learn to work together. But what is really important, that for more than 2,000 or 3,000 years, there's been people working hardly together, and we've been ignoring them, like the indigenous people. So I was wondering if you have considered this, that we should be, you know, Western style science should be a bit more humble and start listening to people, the knowledge of people that are usually not considered as science. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely, Eric. And thank you so much for bringing, you know, your points, your view up and share it now. Absolutely, absolutely. Is so much important, you know, because we really do need to make a big shift, a big change. And obviously, indigenous culture knows so much more, because they could be the protectors of their land since so many years. So I really encourage, you know, initiatives just like yours and learning from, what Mother Nature is telling us, for example, with the bioindicators, but not only, is fundamental really to listen more to the people, listen more to the local knowledge, the local experience, because there are some of the best solutions as well. Thank you, Eric, for your question.
No, and thank you, Paola, for your answer.
Thank you, Paola. Thank you, Eric. We have another little question from Elizabeth for Paola. This is in the chat. Where does the imperative for reducing our meat consumption and land stands within the SDGs?
Sorry, Domenico. What does the imperative for reducing our meat? That's another great question. We will need, I think, hours to discuss about what you, Elizabeth, are saying. In my opinion, it could stay within the sustainable production and consumption, obviously, but it is not only the goal. I would say that if we think about in larger terms of common responsibility, just like having a common care of our common home, these should be addressed also within the other goals, I would say. So I say at first, I can tell you, the goals about sustainable consumption and production, but not only, because we do need to change our mindset.